What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to do a quick update on my League Starter Eye Shot of Penetration Deadeye Miner. So let's jump right in. This is undoubtedly one of the most fun League starts I've ever had, and the Eye Shot of Pen Deadeye has been absolutely amazing. The feedback has been phenomenal. There are a couple of small issues folks have had, and we will get into some tips and tricks later in the video. But for now, let's just talk about my start. I basically stopped upgrading the build after about 36 hours because it was handling content so well that I didn't want to spend any money. I just wanted to save up for some really big upgrades. I still don't have clusters. I never switched to determination. I'm just blasting maps. After last night, I finally got the nameless seer on the Sepulchre map.
Sepulchre.
I finally got the nameless seer to show up on the Sepulchre map after about 250 to 300 attempts. It was absolutely brutal, and I do not recommend that you try to do this scrying thing. In my opinion, it is a broken mechanic in a bad way. The way it works is that you can move div cards from one map and copy them onto another. But unfortunately, in order to do that, you have to find the nameless seer on the map that has the div cards that you want. So I wanted to get the doctor card from Sepulchre, so I had to go run that map until I found the nameless seer. I would then scry it over to the Dunes map where I could farm legions, which I'm finally doing now. However, it took me forever and really delayed currency making for me on League Start. I still did okay doing Alkin Goes. If it takes you 300 maps to prep your farm, it's probably not a good thing. The way I ended up finding him was I accidentally juiced up the map boss like crazy. It's Doedry, and I had put something like 7 or 8 altars on her. So I got in there and she one-shot me. I hadn't really been dying at all, so I didn't put down a portal, so I had to run back through the map to kill her because I wanted to get all those div cards that she was going to drop. Now, she didn't drop any div cards for me, but on the way back through, I found the nameless seer. He was in a position that I had already fully cleared and picked up all the loot from, and then moved on. So at some point in the map, he spawned randomly in that position, and the only reason I found him is because I had to run back through the entire thing. In my opinion, if this is going to be the way it works, you should probably just take it out of the game. But I think I'm going to make a separate video for this. So let's jump in game and talk about my build. So I'm not going to go over everything because this build is already completely presented in a guide. I am somewhere in the mid-game range of the build, and I still have not switched to the end game setup. I don't have clusters. I don't have the determination setup. Despite being able to afford it, I easily have somewhere in the realm of 60 to 70 divines worth of currency, but I just figured I would talk about some problems people ran into and how to solve them and what I'm doing differently. Let's start with what I believe is the most underrated item of 3.25, the Venter's Gamble. I bought this ring for 5 divines and used Fertile Catalyst on it to get it from 15 mana reservation efficiency to 18. This is a ridiculous amount of mana reservation. This would be something you might anoint onto an amulet, replacing something like 10 to 15% more damage, because reservation efficiency is so valuable. You can easily buy a ring like this that has 100 res, 50 life, and 15 res for somewhere in the realm of 3 to 5 divines if you just pay attention to the market. Getting one of these is going to be super helpful also in transitioning to the determination setup where you need to fit an extra aura. Another thing you can do to solve mana issues, I'm using Thrill of Battle instead of using the Mind Drinker because I already have a bunch of extra reservation. I figured I would take a little bit of extra mana cost reduction and some mana on hit, and this completely has solved my mana issues. I'm still using the excess sustenance wheel because I really like the feel of the life recovery. So if you feel like your life recovery is not enough, you can keep this wheel. I'm still pathing through proj damage. I don't have clusters, and I'm using an inspired learning. I made a foolish decision and bought this way too early. Basically, my first 4.5 divines went into this item. I didn't have a 6 link yet, and it really slowed my progression because you can't get the most out of this until you have pretty good build that's farming juicy endgame content. So this was a mistake early. Once you have a 6 link, once you have a good bow, the inspired learning feels fantastic. Also, because I haven't switched to determination yet, shout out to Omicid for this idea. I'm actually using the evasion rating Light of Meaning, which was like 40C. This gives me somewhere around 12 to 13,000 evasion right now. Really hard to beat that. You could also get chaos res here, you could get life here, but having a ton of evasion makes this build feel way tankier. I went and got a Storm Shroud early. It cost me about 4 divines. I got a Storm Shroud pretty early and it cost me around 4 divines. I expected them to drop in price, but they've actually gone up in price. So the Storm Shroud Shock Avoid boots are going to be a little bit more challenging to get. So in the meantime, you could just keep running Arctic Armor to keep the freeze immunity, or you could use Brine King if you've already moved on to determination. Crafted a pretty nifty pair of gloves here. I bought this base for 1.7 div, but it was the only Wyvern scale on the market with Fractured Chaos Res tier 1. I then used a Fire Res Essence. I hit Spell Suppress even though I was actually going for accuracy, so I kept it, and now we are Spell Suppress capped. I did the prefixes with a couple of Eldritch Chaos Annuls and Exalts, and then crafted on the implicits. Rage on it is massive and feels really nice on bosses. I was able to hit this lightning coil myself. I 6-linked it with Tainted Fusings after I corrupted it. 50% reduced extra damage from crits is really nice. I'm at the point now where the build feels so good with this gear that I might just stick with what I have and farm out a Headhunter. At that point, I'll likely go into a Fizz to Cold version, which I'm going to be making a POB for in the coming days. It'll look very similar to my build from last league with some upgrades. You'll have to forgive my voice. I have been doing a lot of talking over the last 5 days. We're going to wrap it up there. I will be live a little bit after I upload this video, so make sure to stop by the stream. We're doing a push to get the Prime Partner Plus. If you go over there and drop a tier 1 or higher sub, I would really appreciate that. So twitch.tv/AER0__. All my links are down in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Appreciate you so much. And as always, take care.